We want to thank you all for your presence for this conclusion ceremony. Before we go over, I request Dr. Justin Jhan, Conference Steering Chair, to give this certificate of appreciation on the behalf of Academy of Science Engineering to Dr. Gil Atwills from Harvard University for chairing this session. Sir, 2 minutes. This big data, SocialInformatics, PASSAT, BioMedCom is a long effort, a joint effort from Academy of Science Engineering, efforts from iLab, North Carolina Anti-State University, and IQSS. So we want to appreciate all the members, team members, those who are working hard to make this successful. So I again request Dr. Gil to give away this appreciation certificate to iLab team members on the behalf of IQSS and Academy of Science Engineering. I call upon Mr. Jing Fang from iLab, North Carolina Anti-State University. Ahmad Albu Shaman. Hassam Salim from iLab, North Carolina Anti-State University. Balpreet Kaur, iLab, North Carolina Anti-State University. Ang Lu, iLab, North Carolina Anti-State University. Can you take camera? Mr. Yogeshwar Rao, virtually from iLab, North Carolina Anti-State University.
Take self.
Thank you, sir. Before we give conclusion remark from Dr. Justin Jhan, I request ASE to put your remarks.
First of all, I'd like to extend a great congratulations to Justin for conceiving this as an idea years ago and for carrying it through in spite of the fact that he has an extremely busy life professionally. And what he's done is he's managed to gather all these young researchers from all over the world, with some of us older folks, to allow them to have this sense of openness and community that has been sadly lacking in the last several decades, as more and more events cause people to pull back into their circles of certainty. So I congratulate you, and I hope that we can all help you promote this sense of community, the sense of open exchange and trust that will be grown through this effort. And I would hope that we will also be able to find some sense of integrating the funding so that we don't just get scholarly funding, but we get individuals involved in this, individuals who can be inspired and rekindle the hope that we can in fact come together again in a sense. The research communities have political systems that are death-defying. They're much scarier than anything that I see on Capitol Hill. But if this is any indication of what we can do together, I would encourage each of you not to expect and wait to be invited, but to offer in some way to help this effort. Help the effort in your own communities, help the effort in this newly conceived and confirmed network of networks. And I'm certainly very ready to volunteer my help with this too. So again, thank you very much for including me.
Before you go, let's
Yes, last.
skip.
Simon Ray. Lastly, okay.
You go ahead.
He's.
I'd like to echo very much what Anne had to say, but it's been very humbling sitting through some remarkable presentations and to have been able to review again some exceptional papers and to see where the thinking is going and potentially may take us. And to thank also the remarkable lead and courage shown by Justin, not just in this series of conferences, but in his whole approach and in the open base with which I think we all sympathise in enabling ideas and concepts to be taken forward. So Justin, thank you very much indeed for all of that. It's greatly appreciated, particularly for us Australians. Occasionally they let us out, and it's been great to be here. I'm reminded of Gandhi in a number of regards, and Gandhi has that wonderful statement where he says, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, and then you win. And I'm not sure where we are at the moment. Are they ignoring us or are they laughing at us? But I'm not sure we're yet engaged. And so I think to a certain extent we as academics and researchers need to move from being ignored and laughed at to actually engaging and perhaps fighting to be heard. And that reminds me also of Gandhi and his idea of passive resistance, but perhaps I could say maybe we need to move towards the passive liberation of big data and bringing big data back to home, socializing it back to the individuals, so that we can make that difference that I think many of us are trying to aspire to, as to how we change the patterns, the shapes, for a successful 21st century. And from what's happened recently in Sydney, but also where we've been these last 15 years, a peaceful, harmonious world in which we can bring up our youngsters and continue with some of this remarkable work. So that sort of passive liberation is a message of how do we raid the bank. We heard this morning the work of the NFS, but it's hugely underfunded for the work that we need to do. I said it was fivefold underfolded, but I'm absolutely with you, it's tenfold underfolded. And look, we've got the brains here to raid that bank. We can do it. So let's use passive liberation of big data to raid that bank, to make sure that good things happen and we can sustain the education and training of our younger generations into the future. And that would be remarkable use of the big data that we have. And finally, I think my message is from Robert Watson-Watt, who was the inventor of British radar. And he had the idea of the cult of the imperfect. And this comes to modelling, which is so important in all, and runs as a theme, I think, through all of our papers and presentations. We're not gods, we don't want the perfect. But in that modelling, we can understand the imperfections within big data. And it's those imperfections where new knowledge lies, where exciting new discoveries can be made. So perhaps we can encourage that cult of the imperfect. And one of the things that Robert Watson-Watts gives us is this idea of second best today, because third best never isn't worth it, and first best never comes. So that cult of the imperfect was second best today. Let's maintain that in a way that Justin allows us. Imperfect as many of our papers are, he gives us the opportunity to get those out and to test and try them. And that's where Sir Barnes Wallis, another great engineer, had it right. He maintained that a good idea was one that tested the survived the test with the public. The great thing is that all your papers have been tested here and they've survived and they've been annealed and improved as a result. So let's maintain that as a maxim. Passive liberation of big data, raid the bank, the cult of the imperfect, second best today, and having courage to go out there and get our ideas in the field in the open way that Justin and others are pushing for. So thank you again, Justin.
Now I call upon Dr. Justin Chan to give final closing remarks.
Well, and thank you very much again for everybody and attending the conference. I know a lot of people are already gone for the flight, leaving, and so on. But thank you for attending this conference. It has been a great conference, and we see a lot of people from different countries. And I want to emphasize as a final remark about the ASE, and the most important thing we want to create for the community. It's not belong to any person, belong to the community. It's called ASE at the 360. That's a portal to have an open scientific digital library to publish the research papers and data from next year and software tools for the research purpose. So that's a basic idea: open paper publications, open data publications, open software tools for experimental and purpose as well. And all the videos, all the talks, will be available on the ASE Streamline. So if you go to ASE Streamline, that's the talks for today already available. Oh, network no. Okay, so you go to the site. Oh, I need a link to the. We can play later, some sort running. So some of videos of our first day already available in the Streamline. And we have the professional editors editing this, and after we finish this, will be available online within 2 weeks. So all the talks and given during the 3 days will be available within 2 weeks. So for those people missing certain talks, or you want your colleagues, your friend, your student want to hear more about it, and then go to ASE Streamline. This is again, the 1 month statistics, and from last month, that's the access for the conference we had at Stanford University, and you can see there's a lot of access for the talks provided to the community. Year ahead, and we have a conference will be in June 15 to 20 will be at Stanford, and Data Science and SocialCom, PASSAT. Then Kaohsiung, Taiwan will have Big Data and SocialInformatics will be hand as well. And a lot of people ask the question about the paper index. And when we paper published at the ASE at the 360, when you index and when you cite it, and make sure you put the unique digital ID for the paper, each paper you published. And in that way, and it's called the URL. URL, that's a unique digital ID, and within ASE at the 360 Open Scientific Library. Make sure you have that, and once you have that, all the search engines, Google Scholar will uniquely identify that paper. Well, special thank you to the hosting party here, and Dr. Mercier are here, and IQSS and Harvard University, and Dr. Mercier Crosses, and who are the leads, and from this side. Without them, we don't have a conference here. And also to her team, and Gabriel Stone, and Lisa Slater, and Cassie McGrin, and also the team to support, and during the past years about all the details, the food you have, drinks, and scheduling, and so on. So thank you for them. But they left earlier today, and because of family reason, and we have certificate gave to them earlier already, not here. So we also give special thank you to all the chairs, the conference chairs, and all the program committees, and reviewers of all the papers. Without them, we cannot have a quality in papers and published accepted in the conference. And finally, we want to thank all the keynotes, all the speakers, and attendees and volunteers to have this conference and to be held here. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a safe journey back home. Then finally, probably suggest we have a group photo. Right. So who available here, we should take a photo finally, and to as a final event we have here. Thank you so much. Question.
Could you show the slide with the dates again?
Say it again.
That one.
Next, index.
Oh,
Dates.
date. Oh, date.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yogesh, you come here. This one. All right. 3, 2, 1. Thank you.